What?
In psychology, we learned like there's this thing called external zigzaggers. It's like a German thing, and light is basically an external zigzagger because it's an external cue that keeps us awake or asleep. So, light basically affects us when, um, yeah. So it's like light, and there's this endogenous pacemaker, which is like your biological clock, right? And the main pacemaker of your body is your SCN, which is your suprachiasmatic nucleus. Suprachiasmatic nucleus. So what that does is that when light comes, when your optic nerve receives light, so your eye, um, it your SCN detects this light change, and it it
It.
uh
For what?
no wait, I forgot. It to your suprachiasmatic nucleus, and this sends a signal to your pineal gland, which secretes melatonin. Melatonin is not melanin. Melanin is like what makes your hair gray and like your skin color change and all that. That's like melanin. Melatonin is like this sleep inducing hormone basically. It's like when there's darkness, your pineal gland, it secretes more melatonin. That's why like people who work night shifts, right, they say like to stay in the light, and it's like it makes them really sleepy because when there's like less light, they're like more likely to fall asleep. So if you're working as a security guard, that's why they have like little lights and stuff as well, so like it helps you stay awake because light is an external zigzag, right? So as there's more light coming in, like there was this one study done by this guy called Michael Cifra. He was like this French guy, and he basically wanted to like find out why our circadian rhythm, which is basically a 24-hour cycle that we have, and an example of that is our sleep wake cycle, right? Like how long we sleep, how long we stay awake. That is 24 hours. But for astronauts, it's actually like around 48 hours. So he wanted to investigate why that happens. And he's a speologist, which is a cave expert. So he goes into caves and he just like stays down there and like he explores and stuff and he comes back out, right? But this study, he wanted to explore like why astronauts like without any light cues or anything, because in space there's no light, so he wanted to explore why that happened. So he made up an investigation where we'd go down into a cave for 6 months and sort of with no light, no time cues, nothing, just find out what happens to his body. And NASA, they heard about this and they were like, oh, that's pretty interesting. So they sponsored this whole thing. So it was like a team of NASA people and like his team on the ground, like on Earth's surface, and he went into this cave in the USA in 1972, I think, on February 14th, and he came out 6 months later, and it was like 30 meters underground, and he just had like this small chamber, like this large chamber underground actually, and it had like a bed, some books, like things to keep him like company, and there were lights, but they weren't like on necessarily, like only when he told them to on it, like so. So how it worked was this. So whenever he woke up, he would like call the team on the surface and he would tell them, "Oh, I'm awake, on the lights." And they would on the lights and then it would be like it's day. And then whenever he felt tired or sleepy, he would call them and say, "I'm tired, sleepy," and then they would off the lights. So when they do this, it's like he has no idea what the time is, right? And they try to minimize as much as possible, like no calendar, no like noise from above, nothing. So he would not know like what the time is. And he took tests every day, like he would wake up, do the tests, and like just stay there. And the tests were like they were like physical tests, which basically included like him doing the cycling, machine, that thing. There was also like target practice with the pellet gun. He took his blood pressure. He also did some memory tests and things like that. And he basically stayed down there for 6 months. And on September, he came back out. And what had happened was his memory, his short term memory, was like really bad. It had gotten worse. His eyesight had gotten worse. And he had suicidal thoughts and he had depression, most like specifically SAD, SAD, which is seasonal affective disorder, which is basically like due to there being no light for so long, you begin to like be kind of depressed or angry. It's like, you know, when you have jet lag or something and you go to another country, or when you don't get enough sleep, you start to become like grumpy and stuff. Right? It's something like that. So he became depressed, and like while he was in the cave, there was this rat, and because he was so lonely, he tried to trap the rat and like make it his friend, because he was like really lonely. And but his sleep wake cycle, it varied from 18 to 52 hours, which actually proved like his theory of like astronauts having a sleep wake cycle longer than normal people because of light affecting it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.